Alright, so we are back with another top 10 LRs tier list video. I should have done this last week, but I did not really have the time to do that, unfortunately. Just like kind of sit down and really block it and do this. I did get more time to use Max during that like little segment though, so I do have a pretty good grasp of how this guy's gonna be. Now, the Tanabata LR is probably out by the 28th, so all things considered, I probably will have another tier list for top 10 LRs like next week, but that's why I just want to get this out of the way today before Tanabata stuff like actually starts coming out. And then, you know, maybe if there's even new content that comes out with Tanabata, for all we know, maybe that could shake things up a little bit on this tier list. New ZAs could come during that month, right? We'll see what happens. I think like a pre-major like Dokkan Fest LR celebration tier list is always a nice thing to see. Now, of course, again, when it comes to Dokkan Fest LRs, or just LRs in general, right? This is counting Yellow Corner LRs, Carnival LRs, Dokkan Fest LRs, and then EZAs of those LRs specifically. So basically every LR except for free-to-play LRs are counted here for this tier list, just so you guys are aware. You know, everything in this legendary power tier list besides free characters. Though I guess theoretically, like a free character would probably never make the list, even if they were considered anyways at this point in the stage of Dokkan, right? I just don't see that happening. But let's hop right into this list. Now, my list has changed a little from last time because, you know, we've gotten different buffs to different teams, all this kind of stuff here. But number 10, I have Broly Trio. So I think that I like this character a lot more than I did like even prior to this month. And I think the biggest reason is, again, Super Bosses has been getting a huge amount of help. You know, the introduction of LR Max, which, you know, as the main basis for this video, he is the newest character released. LR Max amazing. He is, of course, on this list. We'll get to him when we do get to him. But I just want to talk about my inclusion of Broly Trio on this list specifically. I think that this guy works fantastic on this team. I mean, he does fit a couple of different teams as well, like, but Power Wishes, right? You can get his 7 orbs if running like Bulma, right? You know, that could be a very common thing. We have Super Bosses, I think is probably his best team right now. And I use this guy very frequently next to this guy right here, who is a Rainbow Orb Changer on both Global and GP with the Super Easy. Of course, he does guaranteed Rainbow Orb change if there's a full Super Bosses rotation. And these two make a pretty good pairing, right? This guy also does Great Lore attack in his 12 key. This guy, Great Lore's attack, right? So they're both double debuffing here. This guy can provide support to Goku Black, right? But I think the nice thing is that this guy's doing a lot for the team, right? With the Rainbow Orb, he's giving 2 key and 15% stats to all allies. Then depending on if you get AJ or STR, like the Rainbow Key Spheres, right? You can give either 39% defense or 39% attack, and that leads to huge buffs. But even further beyond that, he does give 10% reduction on 24 key to all movie bosses and super bosses allies, right? So again, if it doesn't add up together to be 20%, but like, let's say physical Goku Black would get 10% reduction. If you're running Tech Fusion Zamasu as a floater, he's getting another 10% reduction. Physical Rose, running him maybe on rotation with this guy potentially, right? Or as a floater, right? You could get him extra 10% reduction, right? I think the biggest thing is that this guy next to Rainbow Orb Changer is going to 9 out of 10 times, or, you know, for me, I rarely have issues getting this guy 7 orbs on the Super Bosses team anymore. But I feel like, you know, this guy having the guaranteed dodge, being able to sit in slot 1 like that is super useful. And worst case scenario, you enter the turn on low HP, he gets all the key spheres to physical, so he could full heal you while it's guaranteed 100% getting these 7 orbs, which is nice. Now, that could hurt the physical Goku Black a little bit because he may not get good orbs after that, but that's still a very, like, little nice back pocket full heal that this guy has. I think a lot of people don't really consider. But no, I think Broly Trio, you know, fit this list very well. And we'll talk about other characters considered for this last spot. You know, once we finish the list, I'll just wrap around there. But Broly Trio is my number 10 spots. Now, next for number 9 spot, we do have Blue Falcon Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta. I think these guys, you know, they're just straight up good, right? You know, I think they have so many chances to do the additional supers, right? 3 Rainbow Key Spheres you get with them, which they are a Rainbow Orb Changer, but the best characters in the game, right? Superheroes, right? Superhero category, superhero team, just the best team in the game, the best group of units in the game for the most part. Like half of this list is basically like mostly super bosses and superheroes, which is, you know, those are the best characters in the game at this point currently, right? But these guys having guaranteed crit, you know, as well, you know, with all these super attacks they can get, which they can get 5 supers in a turn. They debuff greatly on the 18 key and then also lower attack normally on the 12 key. So they could debuff the enemy 5 times in a turn while guaranteed critting, do really good damage. They do have damage reduction built in up to, depending on how many rainbow orbs you get, it's 7% per rainbow orb. So, you know, theoretically, I think with a 4 rainbow keys per turn, you would be able to get 28% reduction, which, you know, with all the debuffing they do, their defense gets to probably like 1.5 million range, right? So imagine that with debuffs and then 30% reduction, more or less. It's good, right? But I think they're definitely more of an offensive unit than a defensive unit, and they are an incredible floater option on many teams. Because one good thing about these guys is that they don't have to build up. You could just really throw them on a team as long as there is a superheroes category ally on the same team. You could just throw them on a team there, and there are on a lot of teams. Obviously, like Beast Gohan, you know, Blue Evolution Vegeta, UI Goku, like some of these really top tier superheroes characters would fit in so many of these other teams, like Orange Piccolo even, right? And these guys would really be able to eat off of that without even really needing, like, you know, Super Saiyan, first battle legendary power, right? There are very common links, Kamehameha. Maybe like Tournament of Power, the God links are a little more like circumstantial. But I think that in a lot of scenarios, you are able to get these guys just looking very good without even really necessarily needing much setup. They do give themselves everything that they want. And on the active skill turn, they are absolutely crazy because they also will basically get close to 100% reduction, whilst just like the damage they do on the active skill turn is absolutely obscene considering they're guaranteed critting and doing, again, 5 supers. It's actually incredible. So I'm a huge fan of this character. I like this character a lot. I think that they're not really talked about too often, but I think that's because everyone knows that this character is good, so there's not really any discussion needed around them, right? Which, you know, I'm perfectly fine with there not being any discussion around them because everyone agrees that they're a very good unit. Now next here we have Boo Gotenks at my number 8 spot, and then I will put the next character Broly here as well. I think, you know, these two characters I think are characters that people have been discussing a lot recently. I personally am a Broly fan. I think I'm a Broly, you know, like, I guess, defender. I don't know. I really like Broly, especially with the super bosses buffs here. This guy is great, right? And the good thing now is that you don't necessarily have to run 2 Brolys on super bosses anymore. So, like, you have the one Broly with his domain transformation, and you don't have to worry about the other Broly kind of floating around or being weird. Now, these two characters are characters that, you know, I guess with Broly, he doesn't necessarily have to build up. It'd be ideal if he gets the attack raises, right? But you can kind of float Broly around. In fact, theoretically, he is stronger in slot 3 because he is, you know, getting all these additional super attacks and things like that. But, you know, base Broly, again, he's like a decent character. I don't think he's too good, but he's definitely good enough for these early phases. Bootanks is kind of similar. I would say the base Bootanks probably, I could see myself liking him a little better because he has the guard and the dodge. He's stacking defense, right? I think base Bootanks is incredible. He does have an easier transformation condition, and I feel like Bootanks is doing a lot, right? He has the attack break, he has the healing, the high chance of dodge guaranteed, he has the guarantee guard as well, right? Really good stats, I think, and especially once he gets this up, it's like he has well over, like, you know, closer to 1.5 mil defense. Again, probably even higher in a lot of situations with the guarding and the high chance of dodge, like super mega uber, like, defensive. But, you know, I've had transform Broly, like, you know, in a lot of situations with this 26% reduction, you know, guarding all attacks, obviously with this domain buffing up and everything like that. Like, I've had situations, like, you know, we could have Kid Buu on this guy's team, for example, right? Where this guy was able to live, like, Vegeta Blue Super for, like, under 300k. There's situations maybe he would eat the super, like, attack for, like, 400k, and he would get sealed in those scenarios, right? But this Broly in like a good amount of situations is able to live the hardest hitting super attacks in the game, but then he just ends up being able to do so much like offense. And you know, it's a thing where both of these guys are like obviously really good defensively still. I would say this guy's a better defensive character for sure. So like I could see like me feeling a certain way where it's like maybe I like Butex better in a certain date. But I think what this guy's able to provide to his teams is going to be a lot better. He has a better leader skill as well. I think this guy's defense is more than enough in difficult content. You could also argue, you know, there have been situations where Boo Gotenks kind of screw me over, right? Because there's situations where the Boo team heals so much, and this guy would have to rely on his medium chance to dodge, or this guy would have to rely on his 70% chance to guard, because I end up not being under 90% HP because the Boo team heals quite a lot, right? So, like, there are issues you're going to run into with that, like, once in a while. I don't think it's very common, right? But you could say Beast Broly. You could argue, you know, he's consistently gonna be a like you don't have to ever worry about like those weird, like, you know, not hard to activate conditions, but you know sometimes you can get screwed over. And yeah, I really like Broly. I think that the damage he does just also far outclips Boo Ultimate Gohan, to where I think the overall value gained by Broly one turning these phases anyways is a little better to me than Boo Tanks like being able to be sitting in slot one and be mega uber defensive god, right? Especially because I don't think the Majin Buu team really needs more uber defensive mega gods. I think this guy would have actually maybe even liked him a little better if he was a little more on the offensive side. Like if he had some built-in crit somewhere here, like, you know, he does get this right here, recovers 10% HP if HP is 50% less side return. Give him like a medium chance to crit, and I think I would like him a little better, right? You know, but it's just stuff like that where Broly is like he's like a character you just have to use him, and you see him do like a 25 to 30 mil attack set and do like a 17 to 20 mil, then he does like 3 more of those and just like, oh god, you know, the enemy's done, right? You know. And obviously super bosses is way better, and since you don't have to use two of these guys, I think that's one of the biggest things. You only have to worry about one of the Broly's, so that's good. Next we have the Gammas. I think the reason I have the Gammas above these two is mostly because I think the Gammas provide more value early on in the battle, and they can get their standby form on turn 3, right? And I think the value that overall what these guys are performing or providing is going to be greater than even what Broly and Boo Tanks provide in their teams, just as characters. They're also, again, kind of built around the superheroes team, which is definitely the best team in the game. Now, these guys can have issues potentially depending on, you know, maybe you can't get the Inky Spheres, maybe you can't even get STR or Ajoki Spheres. Like, they are, like, theoretically early on, you know, it's up to RNG and how things happen. You could also argue, you know, these guys, they could be like a slot 7, and it's like you're kind of stuck with these guys early on with only a 30% reduction the first turn potentially, if you're like not under, I think it's 70% HP, right? Which you could also go with these guys in turn 2, you fell under 70% HP and instantly go into the standby mode of the Gammas, right? It's a like two-way coin, right? It's a two-sided coin. I feel like these Gammas though, with the 50% support they're providing, they're doing like all these super attacks. Like for phase 1 of the fight, you're good with these guys. I like these guys too. I think, you know, you can't really set them in slot 1, but they do provide this. So if you're able to set them potentially in slot 2, that could be nice. Like an idea is like you run, I don't know, Gamma 1, S tier Gamma 1, which is really good right now, with these guys in slot 2, and then these guys are providing the defense to the floating character. Again, it's a thing where you do kind of want the Inky Spheres, but at least you can get the STR or Ajoki Spheres for that. Then this hits really hard. I think that one thing people don't like talk about is how hard this guy's finish skill hits. It does really good damage, for sure, 100%. I like the damage it does, and it's super easy to build this up and make this hit super hard because like everyone on the superhero team for example, will just do so many different supers. Even like if you run these guys on the Android team, you have 21. You have obviously, you know, these guys themselves will build up their additionals. Like let's take a further look at androids. Like I know androids wouldn't really get the buff here like a lot of these androids, but you could still run them on like a 21 android team. You even have Cell Max on this team, though theoretically you want to keep Cell Max away from them if you can, because he does get buffs that he loses with a superheroes unit on rotation, right? But like a lot of these characters here could do additionals, like if you're running even Gamma too, I guess, right? And the Android team isn't really that great right now, but like you could run like some of these Pepe Gal's characters also on that team, like Kafla. Maybe you have S tier Kafla on the team. She's doing so many additionals, right? Movie heroes, so many characters that do additionals, right? And a lot of these like, you know, superheroes characters can be on this team too. So I think you guys get the point there. And obviously, I think Stand by Gamma 1 is probably just a better unit than Bootanks and Broly. I think in the best scenarios, they do create Inki spheres, and it's a certain type that you could set up. Like you could set up a bunch of Agiogi spheres and then get all these Inki spheres changed. That can be nice. But they provide the 2-turn defense buff, which is crazy. They can get 80% reduction in slot 1, which is also really good. Still providing 50% support to like the best team in the game, superheroes. I like this guy what a lot. He's absolutely stupid. If you know how to use them right, I think these Gammas could be extremely powerful. I am a bigger Gamma fan than I think, you know, a lot of people are, to be honest. Like, I think, you know, a lot of people will probably have the Gammas down, like, here. But I really still like the Gammas quite a lot. Could you convince me to put Broly above the Gammas? I think theoretically, like, because, like, these two are, like, kind of more of a defensive range, while this Broly is, like, more of an offensive range character. Which is, like, it's kind of hard and weird to rank these characters, because they kind of are trying to do different roles. Like this guy's defensive, this guy's like a defensive support, this guy's like an offensive character that has good defensive capabilities, like, you know, but they're next to each other in a tier list. You could like move a lot of these characters around, and I'm not going to be like, oh, you're wrong, you suck, you know, but that's my opinion. Next, I have Gogeta Blue here at my number 5 spot. I think Gogeta Blue, I think everyone else how good this guy is. Easy Rainbow Orb Changer, you know, just does nice decent damage with the super effective. Not crazy, but early on super effective could do really nice. I think in these last phases you really want crits instead of super effective, especially against a lot of these bosses like Beast Gohan, who has a certain damage cap you have to hit to actually do damage, or else you don't do damage at all, right? But you know, this guy's in a lot of teams, good link set. He's not reliant on having another character with this guy, right? He just does what he does very consistently, and that's one thing I really do like about him. Now, I guess the biggest issue you could argue with him is turn 4 from start of turn for his transformation. Unfortunately, again, that is from his first turn, so if he is in slot 7, you have to wait until his 4th turn, which would be turn, be from turn 3 and then all the way to turn 7. Is when you could transform with that guy, or you get him turn 1 and then you can float him off and he's instantly transformed into Blue Gogeta, right? Now Blue Gogeta, in many situations he could be dodge or die with the first turn, right? So you kind of don't want to run this guy slot 1, but if he's in slot 2 or 3, again with his Rainbow Orb change, he's providing very nice, but he also does get the guaranteed additional super attack with the Rainbow Key Sphere. He does get just, I think, where is it? Launches, yeah, another additional super attack when attacking. So he gets 2 guaranteed additional supers. He gets 1 more. He gets the greatly raised attacking units for 1 turn on the 12 key. So he's getting 3 of those. Plus, you know, he just has very high stats. He's healing you as well, right? He even has a chance to counter. Key Blast super attack's a great chance to counter, which is really nice. You can also build up crits, which I think is also a good thing, right? Because you do have this guy's target skill we'll talk about in a second. But again, he's very simple. He could tank normals, most normals in the game very comfortably, right? You know, I think like the Esther Gogeta Blues normals plus super attack could obviously hurt this guy, but by then you could have the target skill, which I would say in terms of pure, like, how to explain it, in terms of the pure ability this target skill has, it is the best one in the game, because you're dodging, so you're dodging all the sealing, you're dodging the stunning, the attack, defense lowering. You don't receive that attack, which could stun you or anything like that, like a lot of these bosses could do now, but you just simply evade it. The only thing is that it takes a lot longer than all the other standby, or not the standby, the target skills like Cell Max or Beast Gohan. It takes way longer to get this one, which is probably why, you know, I think in terms of its pure effect, it's the best one, quote unquote, but Still really good because I think a lot of these fights can easily last until you get the target skill, and you use it in the last phases. Very cool. It just really depends. Like, are you gonna get this guy on turn 1, or are you gonna get this guy on turn 3? Right? It's kind of dependent on your rotations, but this does damage as well. And with the dodging, builds up this guy's crit chance. You could eventually get guaranteed crits and even do pretty solid damage, right? But I think the biggest thing why I like this guy over Broly is probably the target skill. I think it's just a stupid, really great protector team ability, and we're getting now into this like kind of row of characters where they have team protection abilities. So like next I have UI Goku, right? The thing about UI Goku is, he has a team protector ability in the revive. If you fall under 77% HP, no matter what, during the battle, you can revive if any of your allies do end up dying. And if his revive skill does activate, he gets a guaranteed dodge on the next turn. But he also has guaranteed dodge on his first turn, right? So for the first turn, he just guaranteed dodges, which makes him a really good short event character, like against Cell Max, or even if you want to set up your rotations and your rotations are weird, you could trust this guy in slot 1 early on to help your rotations be set up. He just does really good damage. He's just like, 77% chance to dodge after that could be, kind of funny. I think this guy can be dodge or die, but he has a lot of things to circumvent that. Again, like I said, just like with the guaranteed dodge turn 1, the revive, the guaranteed dodge post revive, right? I think post revive, even if another character's revive is activated with his stats, right? I guess you don't even necessarily have to run this guy in slot 1. Like if you're on superheroes, like this guy doesn't have to be in slot 1. Like you're gonna be still on slot 1. And then post super attack, this guy's finding its most normals. Super attacks is not going to directly eat, but again, he has a 77% chance to dodge it. So if RNG could be RNG, right? But you have a really good shot at just like completely avoiding the super attack too, which I think is a fair trade-off. Not every character is going to be invincible in every single circumstance. Most characters anyways. But I like this guy quite a bit, and active skill could do pretty good damage too with the guaranteed crits he gets on 24 key, or even using the active skill. I guess once in a while, if you're not able to get this guy's dodges like turn 1, you could run into some certain key issues, because he does want to dodge 5 times, right, to build up his full key. And he gets that 7 key turn 1, but after that, you can definitely run into issues, but not the biggest deal, really, I feel like. But yeah, I guess he also does give all a 7% chance to crit for with a turn. Not really crazy, but I guess it's helpful. It could potentially increase the damage your characters do if they do end up critting by that. I think he does also provide that for 2 turns, though, which I think is a nice little effect. Anyways, next, Blue Evolution Vegeta. Pretty much extremely similar to UI Goku, except this guy's based off of high damage reduction, which will make him more consistent, because more times having the high damage reduction up to 80% is gonna just be a more consistent way to live, especially because this guy has the guard turn 1, which is absolutely crazy. I think it's easier to build this guy up. His revive isn't really on an HP restriction, but he just has to get hit 5 times if I'm not mistaken. Again, let me take a look here. I just want to make sure I get the exact thing here. Yeah, after receiving an attack 5 or more times in battle, and that can be activated no matter what. Like if you're at max HP and you get 1 shot, if you're at 10% HP, it doesn't matter. You can revive as long as this guy's on rotation with any of your characters. After he revives, he's guarding still. Really good. Active skill does nice damage. I think this guy does have an additional with the 77% chance to be super, compared to UI Goku, which only has the 77% chance to be super. So no matter what, this guy will very more often, I think, get his hidden potential system super, because he at least has a guaranteed additional. But I like this guy quite a lot. This Blue Evolution Vegeta, I would say he's better than UI Goku, and I would think that it's not like a gap, but I think it's like I don't see the argument for UI Goku over this guy specifically. I think at first when they first came out, I was kind of like, UI Goku, I kind of like him a little better, but I think that was me being silly. I think as time passed on, Blue Evolution Vegeta is just a more consistent character overall, just because of the differences in their kit, which is really funny, because when this guy and UI Goku came out, UI Goku was like better for sure, because this guy's reduction was just like too low, right? He had to 10% reduction start of turn, and then he built up to 40%. Like, now he starts up at 50%, build up to 80%. Like, that's crazy, a crazy improvement. They made this guy really good. Very happy about that. Now, I think, I'm gonna just put the last two characters here. I have Max at 2, actually, and then I have Beast going on 1. I like Max a lot. I think we can close these tabs right here. Max is really, 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 really good. I just think his impact on super bosses is incredible, and you can tell he just has super high stats, right? He has essentially he has 400%. No, it's okay. So he gets 100% here as an intro. He gets 300% there, so that's 400%. But then he also does get 250% attack and 250% defense. So in total, that is my brain is trying to do the math. 650% attack and defense start of turn for the first 3 turns. Then he gets 100% multiplicative, which is crazy, right? Depending on him receiving attacks and doing attacks, which he is guarding for the first 3 turns. He has 30% reduction. If you have the full super bosses, artificial life forms, or movie bosses rotation, which it's not really difficult on the teams you're going to run this guy because he's on like 5 categories anyways. And he's just like, when he's built up, he's just hitting extremely hard. Even at 55%, Link level 1, this guy was doing like 20 mil attack stats. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy, right? And, this is actually something you could see kind of commonly if this guy's in slot 1, obviously, because of the fact that, slot 1, I think, is a lot of times where the super attack is. But also, his target skill is obscenely powerful, I would say. Turn 4 with super bosses, like a full super boss rotation is what I'm trying to say, or turn 6 with full extreme class, right? But still, I think turn 4 is a very easy thing to get because this guy's mainly going to be on super bosses, I feel like. And during that, he does an attack, then he gets 999% defense. So he's like at 18-20 mil defense. And it's a point where you can get one rainbow key, or not rainbow, one STR key sphere with this guy could just like full heal you. Obviously very easy with key because he's going to have 15 key. He gets 15 key built up, right? And then, yeah, so he has 5 key start turn, 5 key, when he gets all of his attacks, and then 5 key when he gets all of his attacks received, right? So, yeah, kind of dumb. And furthermore, what else was I gonna say? I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I think that it's a thing. Oh no, I was gonna say the last thing. He also debuffs, right? Super Boss's team is full of debuffers, right? But yeah, this guy is great early on setting up your rotations. Your rotations are set up on movie bosses, super bosses. Then you have this guy floating around with his target skills, and he's just doing casual, multiple, 25 mil into 17, into 18, into 19 mil attack stats, and he's just dumb character. I don't know. He's just really, really stupid. He's so good that you run him as like your second leader for super bosses at this point. Because if you run Broly as a leader and then you run this guy, the entire team is essentially, as long as they're under Broly's 200%, would be getting a total of a 170% leader skill. So that's also really cool. But yeah, great link set. I think for these villain kind of characters, well, I want to say great link set, but Big Bad Bosses, Nightmare, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power, they're good. Theoretically, on certain rotations, you could get Berserker with Broly, which is not really going to be common. If Berserker was a good link, man, that'd be pretty sick. Imagine if it was just 25% attack and no HP condition instead of 30% attack. I don't know. Maybe even just 20% attack. Just get rid of the HP condition. I'd be fine with that. That'd be a great link with Broly, but right now it's whatever. But Beast Gohan 1. I don't even want to talk about it. Just this guy's dumb. I don't know. Just read his kit, and then you're like, oh, he's by far the best character in the game. There's not even I don't have to talk about this. I think Max is really good, and I think his influence on super bosses is almost as good as Beast Gohan's influence on superheroes. But I think Beast Gohan's gonna also age better, and obviously, it's theoretically, if we go with the nitty-gritty, Beast Gohan is a hybrid Saiyan. This guy's an android. Beast Gohan's gonna be on more teams. He's gonna have a better lead skill, better link sets. And I think, consistently Beast Gohan is gonna be also better, right? I think it's a little easier to use this guy too, but Somax is kind of stupid. Okay, we'll talk about some of the characters that didn't make this list. Esther Vegito, kind of cope character at this point. I don't know, he's good, but I just think, with Esther Vegito, their base form is just not it for me. I just don't like their base form a lot. No, it's like the transformation into Super Vegito is really, really good. But I feel like, I don't know. Something about this guy, I just don't get them to fuse that often on the team that they'll be on. Like, because I guess their best team really is the Super Saiyans team. But I feel like this team is like really good defensively. Right? We have obviously Vegetas as our leaders. We have the Blue Gogeta here as well. Obviously Dragon Ball Super Broly just like burst through the fight with like the damage they could do. Esther Vegito, I mean, you could say once they stack up in this event, they could, like in Blue Gogeta's event, they could do really good damage. That's for sure, right? I don't know. I just Blue Evolution Vegeta's on this team, right? King Vegeta is a really good like defensive support character, surprisingly. Let's talk about Vegeta's leader skill, which also includes Vegeta's family. Maybe it's a global thing where global doesn't have Blue Evolution, and it's like you just don't really see it. Though to be fair, if you revive with Vegeta, you are literally exactly at the HP condition, which is quite funny. Super Vegeta is so good, but I just feel like this character is like their base form. Like I would use Broly Trio over their base form. Like, all these characters for the first like few turns are just better. Yeah, then sometimes you can't infuse with Vegito, and these guys could be a reason to get killed. So I don't know. It's kind of silly. SRUI is good, but I don't know. I would say Vegito's probably better. Vegito's probably like at 11. Yeah. Oh, Gohan, silly. Yeah, I mean, Ginyu is only on one team. Ginyu could be really good, though. But I think him being on one team, I probably would say... I don't know, Ginyu's probably better than old Gohan, low-key. Gohan has such a lot of issues that you could just poke into him. Okay. I don't think there's any other LRs that came out this year like that. Nope, not that I'm seeing. I almost forgot to bring this guy up. Okay, this guy could be really good. I think his pure, like, if you're thinking about what he could do, just like, on a paper level, like, this guy's giant form is super powerful still, even now. I just feel like this guy is unnecessary and redundant. I don't know, at this point. I feel like his stats are, like, passable. Right, and it's really the giant form that could be really good, but the giant form doesn't even do damage anymore, and it's just, the giant form is really applicable, I think, majorly on superheroes. This guy could help a bunch of these other teams for sure, right? Like Revenge or Battle of Fate, but like, some of these top tier teams that you would actually run don't really need it, because these teams are so full of these protectors abilities. Like if we say you run superheroes, like you're gonna have Beast Gohan. Where's this guy at? And you're gonna have Beast Gohan, there's UI Goku, Blue Evolution Vegeta, the LR Gammas, right? I think I already said Blue Gogeta, right? But like, it's just like, oh, well, we have so many characters that have team protector abilities on the setup, right? And it's like Orange Piccolo, like, I could run him as a floater, and he's another team protector, which and theoretically would make my team more secure. But it's a thing where you probably just don't even need to use it at all. So what is he really doing there? He's not really good at damage. He's okay, decent defensively. I would say in terms of defense, he has 8s better than a lot of characters that came out around him, though. But he's probably, again, like around at most like 1 million defense with his 20% reduction. Now I do like he has the heal, but like, that's also considering this guy gets built up. Sometimes you might not even be able to build up with this guy because you want to build up with all these other characters on the team. Like Beast Gohan needs to build up, Blue Evolution needs to build up, UI Goku needs to build up, Blue Gogeta needs to build up, right? The Gammas kind of want to build up and get their additionals. Like if you're running SR UI Goku, this guy wants to build up. Like every character in this team like kind of wants to build up. That's why I really like this character, by the way. But Orange Piccolo also has to do that. And, you can't float this guy off either because he'll lose his guard after 3 turns. And then his link set doesn't really work well with the rest of the team. I don't know. I'm not really, like, I think this guy could still be good, but I'm not, like, as huge of a fan anymore. I would say he's still probably like top 15 LR. Like compared to like S tier UI Goku, I would choose to use this guy over S tier UI. I'd probably still choose to use this guy over like S tier Super Vegito for sure. I feel like, you know, he might literally be like 11 like on this list. I'd maybe you could convince me to put him at 10. But I just wanted to bring this guy up. I'm just like not gonna put this guy like at like 7 or 6 or something like that, you know. I feel like certain people would argue that, but I just wanted to make sure this guy was like in here before I ended the video. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of the tier list. I'm done, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.